Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arc Schooling, and welcome to another episode of Homeschool Tidbits. I just want to start by saying that I am still sick. I have been sick for far too long, but I really wanted to get this video up, so I'm pushing through. So welcome back to Build Your Library's Homeschool Tidbits. Today we're doing episode 61, and I'm going to be talking about how to create a rich reading environment and build your own home library. In this weekly video series, I will delve briefly into a topic related to homeschooling, and I'll share some of my knowledge and expertise as a longtime homeschooling mother of 4 children, 3 of whom have graduated, and 1 who is a college graduate, and 1 who will be a college graduate this spring. So you want to build a rich and diverse home library to foster your homeschooled children, a sanctuary of stories, of knowledge, and endless adventures. Building a diverse home library is akin to sowing seeds of wisdom, curiosity, and empathy in the fertile minds of our young learners. As homeschool parents, we have the unique opportunity to curate a collection that not only nurtures their academic growth, but also fosters a lifelong love of reading. But how can you do that without breaking the bank? How can you discover the best books to include on your shelves? Today, I'm going to be giving you some tips to craft a rich reading environment right here within the walls of your home, accompanied, of course, by many book recommendations to help you get started to build your own home library. I'm going to be focusing today mainly on sharing middle grade recommendations. That's because that's the widest swath of age level I feel I can share that will be able to reach the most people. So when I say middle grade, those are books that are aimed at children ages 8 to 12, but I find in my experience that younger and older listeners can enjoy those stories as well. I mean, shoot, I really enjoy a lot of middle grade fiction just for myself. So I feel like this is the best option for sharing recommendations today. But let me know in the comments, of course, if you want some recommendations for younger or older children. The first step to building your library is to embrace diversity. A diverse library mirrors the diverse world that we live in. You want to include books that celebrate different cultures, different languages, different races, different perspectives. These books broaden your child's horizon, and it cultivates empathy and understanding. These books are windows. Your child can peer through them and discover a life very different from their own. To give you some recommendations, I'm going to start with Healer of the Water Monster by Brian Young because it's the most recent thing I've read. And this is a beautiful story about a Navajo boy who is spending the summer with his grandmother and living on the reservation with her in her summer home. And he befriends one of the holy beings from the Navajo creation story who is a water monster, who is sick and needs his help. This book is full of adventure and heart, and you'll learn a lot about the Dene culture while you're reading a riveting story. And I highly recommend getting this one on audio because there is a lot of Navajo language included in the story. And if you're feeling like maybe that's too challenging for you to read aloud or for your child to read on their own, the audio is spectacular. Next, I want to recommend the book A Place at the Table. This is by Sadia Faruqi and Laura Chauvin. And this is a story about 2 girls who come from different cultures. One is a Pakistani American girl and one is a Jewish American girl. And throughout the story, they discover they have a lot more in common than they thought. This is also a cooking book. So if you have a child who loves food and working in the kitchen, this is a great book for them. Next, I want to recommend While I Was Away by Waka T. Brown. This is a middle grade memoir about the author's childhood in the 1980s when she went to live in Japan with her grandmother to study at Japanese school. Her parents sent her away for the summer because they thought she was getting too American and they wanted her to have a way to study and really learn the language. This is a fascinating glimpse into Japanese culture, and it's just a really, really good story. And the last book I want to recommend for your diverse selections is Free Water by Amina Lukman Dawson. And this is a story that I absolutely loved when I read it last year. It's a book about a brother and sister who are escaping enslavement. This is set in the 1800s. And what makes this story so unique is that they're escaping south into a community of freed slaves who are like hiding out and building this community in a southern swamp. And I loved reading about this because it's something I'd never read before. It's a slice of history that I have only just recently discovered, and I just think it's a really great way to introduce that to your children. Now that you've got some diverse books in your library, it's time to explore various genres. There are so many different ways to tell a story, from historical fiction and mystery to fantasy and science fiction. Each genre offers a unique lens through which your child can view the world. You'll want to include a wide variety on your shelves because there's no way to know what's going to be your child's favorite. So that's why we want to expose them to as many different kinds of storytelling as possible. So a fantasy that you might want to include in your home library would be Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This has black girl magic, a hidden world of supernatural beings, and a magic school setting. So what's not to love? It's a really great adventure story, great characters. It's just a really good time. A great historical book that I want to recommend is The Windaby Puzzle by Lois Lowry. This book is fascinating. The author weaves a story around this mystery of a 2,000-year-old bog body. It's part history, part fiction, part a peek into how an author works. This unique book is not to be missed. For a realistic fiction story, I want to recommend Jennifer Chan is Not Alone by Tay Keller. This is a story about bullying, but what makes it so good and so unique is that it really digs into the question of why someone might become a bully. What makes someone choose to be cruel? This is a book that I want to put in everybody's hand, so I definitely recommend adding it to your library. Don't forget to include short stories. I'm going to recommend Once Upon an Eid, Stories of Hope and Joy by 15 Muslim Voices, and this is edited by S.K. Ali and Aisha Saeed. What I love about short story collections is that it is a great way to test out new authors without having to buy a whole bunch of books. This is a really great collection of 15 Muslim authors, all sharing a story about the holiday of Eid. Each story is really engaging and thoughtful, and it's a really great way to learn more about the Muslim culture. A great science fiction book that you might want to add to your library is A Rover's Story by Jasmine Warga. This is an adventure following a Mars rover as it's being built, and through its whole journey from being built, being sent to Mars, and what happens after. It's a really cute story with lovable characters, and it spans a really long swath of time, so it's a really cool way to learn more about space and the science that goes into like spacecraft and all of that. A really fun mystery book is The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. 4 gifted children are chosen to go on a secret mission. They'll have to go undercover at a very strange boarding school. This book is so much fun. There are plot twists galore, mysteries to solve, and secret identities. And finally, I want to recommend a graphic novel because graphic novels are such a great way to get a reluctant reader interested in picking up a book. And the book I want to recommend is Speak Up by Rebecca Burgess. This is a story about an autistic girl who has a secret identity as a pop star. This is a great window or mirror into what it's like to be autistic. And it's written by an autistic author, so you're getting an authentic experience. I really loved the way the mother begins to understand her daughter through the story rather than trying to fix her. So it's a really great, fun story. Don't forget to add nonfiction to your library. I don't know about you, but my kids ask a lot of questions. They are full of questions, and I like to have plenty of nonfiction options on my shelves to hand them to find answers to those questions. So be sure to incorporate some nonfiction books that might pique your child's curiosity, from animals and space to history and science. You can find nonfiction titles to provide a wealth of knowledge. So I'm only going to recommend a few things because I could get easily carried away here. So I'm going to focus on history and science today. For history, I want to recommend American History, a visual encyclopedia. And really, I could recommend just about anything that comes from DK. DK Publishing is fantastic. I love their books because they're big and they're colorful, they're easy to read, they have so many interesting titles. But this one is great because it is hard to find good resources for U.S. history, especially for this age level. So this is a great one. I like it because it's colorful, and it also gives just enough information without getting too dull or dry. And for a completely different resource for history, I want to recommend Absolutely Everything, a history of Earth, dinosaurs, rulers, robots, and other things too numerous to mention by Christopher Lloyd. What I love about this book is that it's so unique. It's history, but it's also science, because it weaves them both together to tell the story of Earth from the Big Bang all the way to modern day and our modern technology that we've created. So it's a very brief history. This is really more of a crash course. It's not going to go too in-depth on anything, but it's a really interesting way of looking at history. And now for science, I have 2 recommendations as well. I want to recommend Explore Soil with 25 Great Projects by Kathleen M. Riley. This is actually just one bit of a giant series. There's like so many books in this Explore series of hands-on project books. If you want to add hands-on activities, but you don't really know where to start, I think the series is great. There's a whole lot of different topics in both history and science. I haven't done too many of the history ones, but we have really enjoyed a few of the science ones, especially this soil book. I used this particular book with my daughter a few years ago, and I feel like she got a lot out of the activities that we did. And I feel like the activities are really easy to pull together, and they mostly use things you already have around the house. And next, I want to recommend How to Be Good at Science, Technology, and Engineering, another DK book, of course. Again, you just can't go wrong with DK. Their books are always just so well done. This one focuses on science, but they also have one in this series about math. And the other thing I like about this is that they also have workbooks to go along with these. So if you have a kid who loves workbooks, there you go. Now you have something extra to add into your day. So of course, when we're building a home library, we want to also include some classics. We want to introduce our children to literary classics that have stood the test of time. These are books that maybe you grew up with that you want to introduce to your children because they have a special place in your heart. Maybe they're a little bit older, but they're still worth reading. Classics provide a strong foundation for language, and they often convey profound life lessons. So first I want to recommend Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This is the classic tale of friendship and the cycle of life between some pig and a brilliant spider. There is a reason this book has endured for decades. It's just beautiful. Next, I'll recommend Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is a story of an orphan girl who finds an unlikely home with an elderly brother and sister. Anne is just such a fun character to read. She's so dramatic and theatrical, and she'll instantly become a kindred spirit. And of course, you want to try to add some other genres in here, so let's recommend A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. This is a great introduction to the sci-fi genre. You get to travel through space and time with Meg and her little brother to save their father from dark forces who are trying to take over the universe. And if you want to add some fantasy classics, you cannot go wrong with The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. In a hole in a ground there lived a hobbit starts my favorite fantasy book about a hobbit who goes on a grand adventure. This book has everything. It's funny, it's whimsical, It's full of wild adventures in an amazingly detailed fantasy setting. So now I've recommended a ton of books to you. But books are expensive, so how do you go about doing this without blowing your whole budget? Sure, books can be expensive, but they don't have to be. Library sales and secondhand stores like Goodwill are treasure troves of discovering hidden gems. If you go in prepared and you know what to look for, you can easily stock your home library without breaking your budget. And be sure to involve your children in these outings. Allow them to choose books that capture their interest. This hands-on experience will instill a sense of ownership and excitement about their reading. And if you don't have a good secondhand store nearby, you could also go to websites like Book Outlet and Thrift Books, where you can find amazingly good deals on great literature. Now that you've got all these great books, set yourself up a cozy place to read. Now this can be fancy or it can be pretty laid back. Mine is pretty laid back. We just designate where we feel the most comfortable and set up a special corner to read and relax. You want to fill it with comfortable cushions, soft blankets, and of course shelves stocked with your favorite books. This inviting space will encourage your children to curl up with a good book, sparking their imagination and their love for reading. It doesn't need to be fancy. It could just be a cozy chair in your house, or maybe a beanbag chair that you set up in their room that's just for them to sit and read. And of course, be sure to make reading a family affair. You should all be reading. And reading together. Encourage meaningful discussions about the books that you're reading together. These discussions not only enhance comprehension, but they also foster critical thinking. Share your thoughts, listen to your children's perspectives, and create a space for open dialogue and mutual learning. Building a home library is a long-term commitment to growing your children's literacy. Books are where imagination takes flight. It's where heroes are discovered and where lifelong learners are nurtured. By curating a diverse collection of books and fostering a love of reading, we, as homeschool parents, cultivate a rich reading environment that empowers our children to explore the world one page at a time. If you found this video helpful, I hope you'll check out Build Your Library curriculum. Build Your Library is a secular, literature-rich homeschool curriculum inspired by Charlotte Mason's philosophy of education. Based on nearly 20 years of homeschooling, I created the curriculum that I wished I'd had when I first started homeschooling my children. I've spent thousands of hours cultivating the best literature to enhance your children's studies. Our lesson plans make homeschooling simple. Just open the lesson plans, gather your books, and go. Our easy-to-use lesson plans include everything you need to homeschool. Just add math. Choose from our full-year K-12 levels, as well as our fun topical unit studies. With Build Your Library, you will cultivate a home library filled with captivating literature, and you'll raise children who become lifelong learners. So snuggle up with our lesson plans and a good book or three and have your best homeschool year ever. Every month at Build Your Library, we host a giveaway. This month, we're giving away a $20 gift code. There are a whole bunch of ways to enter, and one of them, of course, is a code. This month's code is I Love Books, and I will link more information down below about the giveaway in the description. Let me know down below what are some of your favorite books to include in your children's home library. I would love to have a ton of recommendations in the comments here. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.